This is Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick. Thanks to NRMA Insurance and Uniden.
That's right, NRMA Insurance helping over many Australians, helping Australians protect what matters for almost 100 years. They are a help company. NRMA Insurance is one of the largest insurers of electric vehicles in Australia. And if you didn't hear our chat with Julie Batch, the CEO, last week, go back and grab that episode. Really fascinating report that they have published. And, of course, Uniden Smart Dash Cams. We appreciate their support. And if you don't have a dash cam in your car, what are you doing? What if something's happened in front of you?
Got an EV.
What if someone bangs into you? You want to have the proof that you can take to the police or to whoever you need to argue with to say, hang on a minute, I know exactly what happened here.
I was not in the wrong.
And Uniden can help you with that. Now, later today, if you want a BYD, I want to set the record straight on a recall that's happening in China. We are also going to talk on Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars to a V8 SuperUte racer. What? Trust me, there's a great story about how Uniden have got involved and how we hooked this racer up with an electric car.
An EV.
But Stephen, there's a fascinating story last week which I want to touch on, which was about Victoria Fire and Rescue responding to a garage fire. Now, this was a triple O call, electric vehicle on fire. Now, you can imagine the locals on that, let alone the reporting, right? Electric car fire, electric cars catch fire, all those kind of headlines. But here's the thing. There's a really, really good kind of warning here from Fire and Rescue Victoria about what caused this, but also the warning to all electric car owners. So I think this is critical.
They've turned up, found that the battery in the electric car was on fire.
The whole garage was on fire,
They put the fire out, but then went to the trouble of investigating what may have caused this.
Yeah, look, and I'll be very clear that I'll give you the full background. They say here they're responding almost one fire a day caused by rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. The reasons they catch fire include overcharging or use of non-compatible charging equipment, overheating, physical damage. To minimise your risks, Fire and Rescue Victoria and all fire departments recommend you purchase from a reputable supplier and follow manufacturer's instructions. Now, I understand, even though it doesn't appear to be listed directly in this release, I've seen reports at other media outlets that suggest that this fire was caused, or in at least part, is inspired by two components in this charging situation. Right. So you've got your electric car, you've got to plug it in the wall at home. So cool. It's completely safe to do if you're using the cable that came with the car, the granny charger, or
suitable.
You've bought one of those aftermarket that meets Australian requirements.
Correct.
I understand that in this instance, either one or two or both of these things occurred. They had a charger that did not have an Australian plug on it, and they plugged it into an international adapter and then into the wall.
So third-party adapter cable?
Potentially.
And that was obviously from another country?
I'm saying third-party, potentially international adapter in the wall.
Yes.
And then the physical granny charger itself
as well
was also aftermarket.
And it did have an Aussie plug, which is why they needed the international adapter.
Aftermarket, didn't pass Australian regulations. Now, grab the box that you've got next to you, because this is a new brand of charging cable that our mates Laser are bringing in. It's called Charge Core.
Okay, I better start talking so the camera comes to me.
I'll put it on you. I can make it happen. Hang on. No, watch this. No, put it on you. There we go. I can do it. I just need to go into auto mode again later. So there's a couple of things here. Warranty, all that kind of stuff. But this has passed Australian certification.
Yes, it has.
So the company bringing this into Australia has gone to the trouble and the expense, mind you.
And it has a 3-year warranty.
Of making sure that this passes Australian regulations. So what that means is this can take the load.
Yes.
It can actually handle the voltage that's going to come through it. You don't have to hold it anymore, Stephen.
There you go.
I think that's going to be about $400. I think places like Harvey Norman are going to sell it because.
But to be clear, that cable is designed to connect your car to a public charger.
That one is a public charger.
But there are other what we call granny chargers, which is the plug that goes in the car. And the other side goes into the wall.
And the thing is, people are going, right, because some cars don't come with these things. So in my case, the Kia came with a granny charger. The Cupra came with a public charger like that, which is Type 2 to Type 2.
Mine came with 2 public chargers, 2 different cables.
And no granny charger.
No.
And so I've bought a granny charger for the Cupra, and now I've got that Type 2 to Type 2 for the EV9, right?
Yep.
So I've got both. I think every car should have both, but not every car company gives you one, let alone two, right?
Yep.
So people get these electric cars, they take them home, and then they go, "There's no charging cable."
Yeah.
Like that's mad to me. So they go online and they search it up.
They see the first thing. So some people see the first thing that comes up. They go, "Oh, that'll do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they've been searching a lot for electric cars on the internet, and so reputable or unreputable websites start targeting them with ads for a trickle charger, and it's affordable. It's cheap.
If there's one thing we can say is that this isn't the sort of product that you shop for by price.
No.
Going cheap often means it's of inferior quality.
And you and I know this from years of talking about tech, okay? Mobile phones. Now, there's been instances where mobile phones have had faults. We don't need to go over that ground again. Yep. But there's many instances where people have bought a $2 charge cable at the local markets, put it into a power brick that can do, certain amount of voltage and watts, and then plugged it into a phone that's expecting a certain amount of voltage and watts. And this cable is transmitting it, but it's not insulated perhaps, and it melts, and then it causes a fire. That's what happens. These cables are not rated for the thing you're putting them through, and it's a big risk.
So it's worth checking what's required, checking the box, checking the details, and spending a bit of money. I think it's a safety issue. I think if it's something that's going to keep you and your family safe, then you don't want to skimp on
the
that.
Australian standards exist for a reason because they keep us safe. Now, on any electrical item, I think it's a triangle with a tick in it is the Australian standard tick. That would occur on these devices as well. There are also actual certification numbers or tests they have to have gone through. Look, you're right. Don't buy on price for this kind of stuff. I know it's frustrating that your car didn't come with one thing or the other. That doesn't mean you should buy the cheap thing because you're putting the car, probably your insurance, because I don't want to, and again, we don't speak for insurance companies, but I'm guessing if they find out that you used a third-party unregulated thing,
then it's your fault.
That car and that garage may not be covered.
Yes. So I think I'd say car manufacturers would want to avoid this kind of problem and include car chargers.
Honestly, it makes no sense.
Because again, you hear fire, you hear electric car, and the narcs come out of the woodwork. In this instance, the car wasn't at fault. It's this cheap cable, cheap international adapter that has caused the problem. And we've seen the problem with electric scooters, with phones. So don't shop on price. Make sure you're buying the right cable for your vehicle and hopefully one that works in Australia, that you don't need any other international adapters or any kind of product like that.
I also think it's funny that I hadn't thought about charging outside the home and having that conversation with Amanda, because I was talking to her today and she pulled into an electric car spot at our local shops where there's two public chargers, but they require a Type 2 to Type 2 cable. And she said, but there was no cable, so I didn't know how to do it. And I went, you know what? There was one under the bonnet. She goes, there's under the bonnet. She didn't know that existed. And so sometimes you're kind of in your habit of just charging at home or going to your local, whatever it is. Just knowing, I said to Amanda, just so you know, under the bonnet in the front,
there's cables.
She goes, the what? I said the front. There's a what we call a granny charger. You can plug it into any power point. If you were worried or desperate or wherever for charge, you can plug that in anywhere. It takes a long time, but you can plug it in anywhere.
At least you've got a front. I can't even open the bonnet on my Merc.
It's a positive thing about the EV9.
The mechanic has to open.
Though, if you look at what's done in America, the Ford Lightning and the Hummer, they're big cars too. They have a huge amount of space under the bonnet. The EV9 has enough space for essentially a couple of those cables. So
they can't put like a suitcase in it. Like my Model
I
S
reckon you could
used to have like a carry-on suitcase.
No, definitely not. You could probably put
space.
a backpack in there.
Yeah.
It might shut.
I often used to do it. The front on my Tesla Model S was always my pizza trunk. I used to put the pizza in there front. It would fit perfectly, and that way it wouldn't stink out the car.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's the pizza
well, we know
trunk,
you're a boot man for your bag.
Boot man all the time for the bag. You just don't want anything
I need
loose
to make
flying
an
around in the car.
And this is probably news to our EV listeners because we talk about this on a different show, but I've become a boot man.
You've become a boot man.
I started putting my backpack in the boot.
There you go.
This morning I opened the boot.
That's what it's there
and there
for,
was
mate.
4 boxes in there that had to be taken to the recycling centre, and I went, there's no room for my bag. So I had to put my bag on the back seat floor, and I went, I didn't feel right. I thought you'd be proud of me.
I'm sure that when you see me pull up here on your camera, you think,
Always.
he's getting his bag out. I think of it when he's probably watching me.
Because I can see you. I can see you on the security camera. It's like, I'm looking now. Is your boot open? What's that behind it?
No.
You sure?
It's not open, mate. I would have got a warning
So
about
there's
that.
not something behind your car?
I don't know.
It looks very strange, but no, I
don't
look at
know.
it and I go, well, he's not out of the car yet, so he's not going to come in yet. And then he's got to go to the back of the car, so I've got ages before he's going to come in here.
And I'm carrying stuff too, like a coffee or a drink or something. Yeah.
If you know someone who owns an electric car,
Yeah.
just make sure they're buying the right accessories. If you own an electric car and you see your friends buying an electric car, talk to them about what accessories to buy, where you bought yours, that kind of stuff.
You'd probably find there'd be recommendations for various. If there's the cables would say, for use with Tesla, Mercedes,
Spot on.
Cupra. So
Exactly.
you got to look for those things. Yeah. And again, don't buy the cheapest one. Buy the right one.
Don't take the risk, folks. Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. After this, a V8 SuperUte driver. Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars, Stephen Fennick and Trevor Long. And I don't think anyone listening would have ever imagined tuning into an electric car podcast and talking about V8 SuperUtes at Bathurst. What about you, Stephen? Did you have that on your bingo card?
I thought it might have been a possibility.
Well, the reason it's come to my mind is because of our good mates at Uniden.
Yep.
Brad and the team at Uniden have actually done something pretty special for Bathurst this weekend, and they've put some support behind a young up-and-comer in the V8 SuperUtes.
Yeah.
And I'll transition to what we're getting to here. We've also organised for this young up-and-comer to drive an electric car for a few weeks. So let's merge all of those things together and introduce to our audience Holly Espray, who is a V8 SuperUte driver. G'day, Holly.
Hello.
It's a kind of weird confluence of events here. I don't think you would have thought you'd be on an electric vehicle podcast, would you, if you were asked that 3 months ago?
No, I never would have thought.
So talk us about your racing career. When did you get started racing?
Racing, I started from a young age in go-karts, and I just moved through the ranks up to cars. But in the V8 SuperUtes, I started that last year, and this year is going to be my first full season of the Utes.
So was there anyone in your family already involved in this? Is this something you said, I reckon I could do that too? So what gave you the will to get behind the wheel and drive really fast?
Well, my dad, really. When I was born over in England, I went to the racetrack at about 1 and watched him race a little Ford Fiesta. So since then I've loved it, and he's obviously helped me through everything, and made my love for cars grow.
Does that mean he's head mechanic all the time too? He's tinkering as well as you?
Yes, he is.
So Bathurst this weekend, have you raced at Bathurst before?
Yes, I have a few times in various cars.
And what's your thoughts on the 6.21 3-kilometre course? No one really doesn't love it, I'm assuming.
No, it is a really cool track. I've definitely... Yeah, I've had my fair share of problems on there though. Like the last round, I found the wall. But it's a really, really cool track, and it suits my driving.
Hey, plenty of people have found walls. Dick Johnson found a tree. There's plenty of greats who found abrupt ends to their Bathurst campaigns. I want to understand, and I want to know. So you're doing this. This is the true privateer stuff in the V8 SuperUtes generally, but also you. You've probably got a lot of great support. I've seen your car, a lot of individual names from friends and family and supporters, a lot of probably local businesses. What was it like to get a phone call from Brad at Uniden to say, hey, we wouldn't mind sponsoring you? Because that must have come from nowhere.
It did. And I was at work and I saw the message on Facebook actually, and it was Damon saying, I really want to be involved with this, and said, can you please give me a call? And I'm driving a truck for work, so I said to Dad, would you mind giving this guy a call? And so he gave Damon a call, and Dad calls me back and says, so they want to meet you, they want to sponsor you for Bathurst, and I'm like, whoa, didn't expect that.
So they basically slipped into your DMs, and
that's
you got a
exactly
deal.
right.
And you got the deal. That's
Damon's new
exactly.
too. He's coming strong to Uniden, hasn't he?
Coming in hot. Damon.
Putting the brand on the big screen for Bathurst. So this is huge because obviously getting support is a great way. What I've noticed with what you've done since this announcement is you've been engaging your audience, your fans too, through the Uniden sponsorship.
Yes, I have. And it's nothing that I've ever been used to before. And Uniden have really brought that out and showed me how to use social media and things to engage with my fans.
That's great. And yeah, I saw you on I've actually followed you on Instagram. I saw you with the dash cam and all the whole range of products there, and you got of course the nice logos on the side of the car, so you're ready to go.
It's going to be huge this weekend, because do you think when you rock up to the paddock, people will be looking at you going, "Whoa, how did you pull a sponsor like that?" Because there'd be a lot of other players who wouldn't mind a big name like that on their car.
Yes, no, exactly. And honestly, my car has looked different every single round.
Yeah.
We have different stickers, different colours, and so this round it's going to look really, really cool.
So I had this idea when talking to Damon and Brad about getting you behind the wheel of an electric car, but you very quickly corrected me. You have driven electric cars before, in fact, at speed on the track.
Yes, I've driven a Genesis. It was a sedan version of what I had, and I had to drive that to the airport in Adelaide to go and pick up a press guy, and it was oddly satisfying, but I was like, I've never driven an electric car before. It was really cool.
Did you miss what's the one thing that stood out for you in that experience? Was it the lack of sound, or was it how the car handled? What was the thing that impressed you about it?
The lack of sound, to be honest.
Probably you like sound, I'm assuming, driving a V8 SuperUte. There'd be plenty of noise there.
Yes. Yes.
So you drove the sedan down in Adelaide, but then we went one further and we organised the GV60, which is a beautiful...
Yes.
And Genesis, let's be real, Genesis is a luxury brand.
Very nice.
Genesis is to Hyundai what Lexus is to Toyota. It's a beautiful vehicle. This is more like an SUV, but a kind of sportback SUV. It's a good looking car. What you're impressed with? You've had that. I think you had that for 3 weeks. So what were your overall impressions of that?
Well, where do I start? I have figured out that I do have issues with cars. And when I walk out my house in the morning, I had the option between this really nice GV60 or a 2003 Skyline.
Yeah.
And I was picking the Skyline just for the noise.
Yeah, so that's something you're going to miss in an electric car.
Genesis doesn't have a facility to generate sound.
Not like the Ioniq N, that's for sure. No.
Okay.
No,
right.
but the Genesis, if you wanted power, I would pick the Genesis.
Yeah, right.
Okay. That's a big rap coming from a V8 driver.
Yes, from a
good.
V8 race driver
And
too.
did you say you took an EV on the track?
No,
well?
I was wrong. You just drove a Journo somewhere.
So I was going to say, well, how fast did you get it up to?
Well, let's not ask that question about the GV60. But did you have friends or family that you took in the GV60 and gave it a little bit of a poke off the lights?
Yes, I did. I took my a couple of my friends. I took my dad and my sisters and things, and they were amazed by the power that it had.
Wow.
Now, you live outside of the metro area, so what was it like? Because one of the things that you learn in 1 week, let alone 3 weeks, is you can't go to the petrol station. So what did you do for charging?
I used the little trickle charger and just plugged it in at home.
And see, that is something I think a lot of people don't understand is you don't need to go to a highway charge. You don't do, because if you've got it sitting in the driveway, sitting in a garage, you can very happily just plug it into a power point. And so you're probably only doing short Ks, and therefore, just like your mobile phone, it was pretty much ready to go every day.
Pretty much, yeah. I would take the truck home from work most days, so the car would be on charge in the day, and then I'd drive it at night.
Nice. Anything that you took out of the few weeks driving an electric car that you kind of think now that might convince you at some point to go down the electric route?
I mean, it's very roomy. It's a really nice car in that aspect. I did actually use it to go and pick up all the Unidem products from my mum's house that got posted there.
Yeah. Nice.
So, yeah, folded down the back seats and it fit everything in there perfectly.
So just in your general driving, like not your V8 SuperUte driving, just your general drive, do you drive a lot then? Do you drive long distances, or what's your daily driving habit?
Not really. It's probably a 15-minute commute to work and back. And apart from that, I don't really do a lot of driving outside of work. So
you'd be within the average average person drives about 50 km
probably
a day.
The best drive you had in the GV60 was picking it up and dropping it back.
Yes. Yep.
Now
and it was an experience with obviously the cruise control and how that worked, and obviously the steering settings as well.
Yeah, you don't have adaptive cruise and lane assist on an old Skyline, do you?
No, I do not.
Now, the last thing I want to know, you've had a bit of an experience in an electric vehicle now. You're a racer. Do you think you could see yourself racing electric vehicles? Because it's a bit of a controversial line of thought that people have. You know, there's Formula E versus Formula One. It's not even a race. I would take Formula One every day of the week. But there's something exciting about the Formula E racing. And there's a lot of people that talk about it and say, well, what are we going to do? We're going to race these things. Leaving aside any logistical challenges, do you reckon it'd be at all interesting?
Look, racing's always interesting. Depends. It doesn't matter what car you're in. I reckon it would make it interesting with the torque that it has.
Off the line, out of the corners. Like, it's not just off the line of the start. It's, punching out of a corner and, maybe getting past that person right in front of you. But then everyone's got it, that same torque. So it's how you use it, traction control. So I don't know. I just feel like it would be interesting, but it would be a very expensive series. I mean, I'm tipping SuperUtes isn't cheap, but it would be far more expensive to be running around in electric vehicles.
Well, yes, maybe.
Less
it
wear and tear
depends
on
because
a motor. There's no engine.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
you just have to put it on charge.
Yeah.
Across the top of the mountain, I reckon you could one pedal. Did the GV60 have much of a one pedal drive where you can enhance the regenerative braking so that when you take your foot off, it's like a Scalextric, it slows down?
It did, and it took a bit to get used to.
Yes.
But by the end of it, I did some research and I found out what it was, and I used it, and I reckon that is a good idea, what they've done in that car.
That's one of my favourite features of driving an EV is one pedal drive.
You know what would be fascinating, Holly, is to see how that would work like across the top of the mountain. So across the top of the mountain, you're actually squirting it most of the time, but there's a couple of points where you might just tap the brake or come off the throttle. You know, a one pedal approach to the top of the mountain might be fascinating. And of course, the one pedal means you're regenerating, which might then give you more life and all those kind of things. So that's what I'm fascinated by with the electric racing concept, is how you can utilize the technology of electric cars features to maybe change the strategy of your driving.
Yeah. Well, I actually took that car down a road near my house because obviously I'm out from the metro area a little bit. So it's only a 70k road, but it handled really nicely down that road. And obviously I was using the one pedal and I didn't have to really touch the brakes at all.
That's good.
Now, Bathurst 1000 this weekend, obviously you get to be around the main series, but what's the race schedule for you? Like, how many races do you do? How many sessions do you get on track?
So there's 6 sessions in total. You got 1 practice, 1 qualifying, and then 4 races.
Wow, 4 races! That's awesome. Well,
yes.
I'm assuming you're up and at it on Thursday. Then SuperUte's qualifying is 11 a.m. So you must be out even earlier than that. Gee, SuperUte's first thing on track 7:30 Thursday, Holly.
I know it's going to be hectic, but I'm really excited to get on track again. I've missed it.
Well, good luck. I look forward to seeing you represent Uniden well on the track, and I hope you get a lot of attention for that very reason. I hope the broadcast coverage knows about it. Do you know off the top of the head who the commentators are for the SuperUte series?
Not off the top of my head, unfortunately.
I'm gonna look it up.
It's Lowndes, I think.
Awesome.
Craig Lowndes.
I've got some people in the know, right? I know a few people. I'm going to make some calls this week.
We'll just say, keep an eye out for this young Holly.
And make sure that they're well aware. I mean, I think they're well aware of you, obviously, Holly, but because the pink stripes on the side often stand out as well. But I think that we need to make them aware of the support that a big company like Uniden has put behind you, so that hopefully they give you a little bit of extra screen time this weekend as well. That'd be my goal for the weekend, Holly. And, of course, for you to do very well.
That's a good
you give us one last thing? Do you have a goal for the weekend, a position on the grid / results?
Top 5.
Awesome. Ooh. Got it. Aim for the top. I want to see it.
Top 1. Go for the top.
Full throttle through the chase.
I always aim for the top. Yes,
that's the way.
Aim for the top. Pass them around the left-hand side, and the right-hand kink into the chase. All right, you got them.
Alrighty.
Hey, Holly,
I will do.
Awesome stuff. I'm glad you enjoyed the Genesis, and we appreciate Genesis sorting you out with that car. we're really appreciative of Damon and Brad getting behind you with the Uniden sponsorship, and I'm appreciative they whacked an EFTM logo on there as well, Holly.
Yeah, just for good measure.
Just for good measure. Yeah. And we'll hopefully get you as much coverage as we can ahead of the weekend and into the weekend. You have all of our best wishes, and we'll be watching. Thanks, Holly.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Good on you. What an awesome chat. What a great racer.
So is she the only female driver in
I
the
think
in
so,
the
yeah.
V8 SuperUte?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't want to ask that because I didn't want to make it about her being a female. But yeah,
she's quite young.
She's a trailblazer.
She's 21, 22?
In 20s, yeah.
She's early 20s.
There's been great female racers like Simona Di Silvestro and many others in the V8 supercars, and there's been many female drivers. And there's a women's Formula Academy, I think they call it now, in the Formula One support. So there's a lot of support in motorsport for women drivers, which is awesome.
I reckon we organise a track day with Holly.
Yeah, right.
And an EV, couple of EVs. Get some content out of it. Get Uniden involved again.
Yeah, we'll get this time we'll get Hyundai Ioniq 5Ns.
Let's put
which have got the sound.
Metal.
She can feel the shifters.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel the gear changes.
I'd say that'd be a good bit of content we can create there for the show and for our social media.
Yeah, all right.
And her social media.
Yeah. Damon and Brad will get behind it, won't they?
Let's do. Of course they will.
Of course they will.
The recommendation from the two blokes, they always listen.
Two blokes talking electric cars. I just realised you were waving at the camera.
Yeah, and the camera was on you.
It's on auto switch, so because you weren't making any noise.
Is that I've got to make noise to get attention? Is that right? So it's just like my normal lifestyle. Is that what happens?
Yeah, just like at home. You've really got to bang the table and say, "When's my dinner?
Where is it?
Where's my dinner?
Pay attention to me."
Before we go, I want to bring a story to BYD owners and EV owners in general, because we're a community, right? And I think that there's going to be a spread of this story, if there hasn't already been by the time this comes out. And I think it's important that we as a community begin to comment on these stories to dispel myths, because it will begin to very quickly, I think, pick up and potentially be clickbait.
Yes.
There's a story that BYD is recalling nearly 100,000 EVs over fire risk.
Yeah.
Now, that alone...
Big headline will get your attention.
...is a massive, massive headline, right? So... BYD is recalling 96,714 Dolphin and Yuan Plus, which is the Atto 3 vehicles in China, starting on September 30, due to a fire risk. Now, this is an actual legit government recall. There's 87,000 Dolphins and obviously a smaller amount of the Atto 3 style cars, due to a manufacturing process of the column assist electric power steering controller. So basically, there's a capacitor on a circuit board they're worried about, and they need to
develop micro
switch that out. And so that's what they're going to do, is they're going to fix that. Now, I immediately wanted to understand this from an Australian perspective. So I'll read this from BYD, or BYD generally, but it's EV Direct, the company that imports BYD into Australia.
Yep.
BYD Auto Industry Co. Limited and BYD Automotive Co. Limited have announced a recall for certain variants of their BYD Dolphin and Atto 3 models. This recall affects specific batches of vehicles within the Chinese mainland only and does not apply to Australia. BYD Dolphin and Atto 3 vehicles delivered to Australia are not impacted by this recall. Now, the reason, there's a couple of things to unpack there. They do say a batch. Now, I remember... like years ago, talking to Luke Todd, who's the bloke that kind of created the BYD import to Australia. And he said to me the deal they'd done was, if there's 5 production lines, one of them is for Australia. So it is quite logical and possible that if there's a variation on circuit boards and things like that, there's a whole production line that doesn't have this this corrupted module. So for that reason, I think it's quite possible.
So that's the case. That's the reason why Australian vehicles unaffected.
Correct.
Right.
However, let me play devil's advocate and say, I've read that statement a few times. This recall does not affect these cars. I hear that. But that's not to say that they won't or haven't considered doing it in the future. But normally in Australia, recalls happen because it's been determined that locally it's an issue.
And to be clear, there have been a lot of EV companies, Tesla in particular, have had few recalls.
Let's be clear, Toyota. Ford, Holden, Nissan.
They've all had them.
Everyone has recalls.
And it's for...
And many of them have been for fire risk too.
Yeah,
so
fire risk and
safety. What I want us as a community
Yeah.
to do is help kind of share the story on articles about this, that This is not about batteries exploding. This is not about EV cars.
Yes.
This is not related to the Victorian firefighters' conversation about charging in Australia. It's purely about a circuit board that could fail.
Yeah.
And if that was in a petrol car, it would have the same problem. So it's a recall, just like any other thing, and it is zero effect on Australia. And if there is an effect on Australia at any point in the future, then there'll be a recall here. But that's not uncommon. As you said, Tesla's had to do it.
Yeah, they've done it.
And in fact, Tesla has to announce a recall in Australia, even if it's a software update.
Yeah.
Even if it's a software update to fix a glitch.
To fix a problem, yeah.
They
so it's a recall.
still have to announce it as a
technically
recall.
Even though it's a stay-at-home recall.
Correct, yes.
But to be clear, these recalls are often over issues that are like, million to one chance of happening, but they still have to,
Spot on.
for safety reasons, they've got to really make it zero chance of happening.
And I've got no doubt that a team in Australia working with the team in China are making sure that the Australian production line doesn't use these chips, or if they do, there's any concern, they'll look into it. So, bottom line, if you're a BYD owner, nothing to worry about.
You've got nothing to
if your idiot,
nothing changes.
If your idiot mates are tagging you in the story, then just reply, mate, I don't live in China. Be a smart ass, hold your head high.
Definitely.
Doesn't affect you because, BYD, I was talking on the radio the other day in Brisbane, I think it was.
They've sold a few models in Australia.
And someone was saying to me, I keep hearing about this BYD. And I said, you're going to not just hear about them, you're going to see them on the roads.
Yeah.
They're
so many
doing very well.
Yeah, BYD, and they've just, what's the most recent one? The C line. That's a
C-line,
hybrid.
And the Shark hybrid Ute.
That's my car, the Shark.
Well,
that's my nickname.
I believe the launch is
still my nickname now.
This month.
Yeah,
I believe that car will be available late this month.
Is that fully electric or is that hybrid too?
No, it's a
hybrid Ute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the first, because Ford and Toyota are both doing some form of electrification of their big Utes.
And you got to remember, Utes are so popular in Australia. They want to get in on that market. Just like
100%.
SUVs are popular as well.
Well, like the C-Line is a hybrid because, it's a bigger SUV and they want to have part of that SUV market.
Absolutely.
Smart stuff.
And the Ute market too.
Look, Australia's got very strict rules and regulations about these kind of recalls and things, so I wouldn't be worrying yourself.
BYD always name their cars after sea creatures. So, you got your seal, you got your sea lion.
The Addo really did
Shark.
screw them a bit by going with Addo 3.
Yeah. What's the next one going to be? The walrus? What's the whale?
I am a walrus.
What? They got a few choices. What would you make? The barracuda or something?
Maybe not the whale.
Not the whale.
Unless it's a bus.
Yeah,
they do buses.
Maybe.
They should call the buses
the whale. Yeah. Or maybe the stingray.
Nah, wouldn't go down well in Steve Irwin country.
Yeah, that's right. Jeez, I'm sorry about that.
It's fine.
There is there's plenty of potential there.
There's,
I love the naming. I'd like to have that job in a company, naming stuff, naming colours, naming cars.
Colours. You've always been a fan of being a colour namer.
Colours, yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. What colour is this? Okay, name that colour.
That one there.
Yeah, this colour here.
Asphalt grey. I would call that one.
I would have just gone with ash grey, but you went asphalt.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's why you get that's the twist. You'd get the job because I got a unique perspective on the colour.
You're a simple man. All right, two blokes talking electric cars. Thank you to NRMA Insurance and Union and Smart Dash Cams. We'll be back next week with another episode. See you then, Stephen.
See you then. Stayed on me the entire time.